I want all three. Ooh, Ashley. Hey, ooh, Ashley. Hey.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Shay back with another video. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ashley. As you can see by the title of this video today, I'm going to be doing a ball python care guide. As you can see, I have the star of the show with me here, Miss Aphrodite. She is alive and she is well and she's getting so big, guys. As you can see, she loves me so much. She is just chilling right here on my neck, low-key choking me a little bit. I'm gonna just loosen her up so I can breathe. This video actually was requested a while back. I will insert the comments up here. I am so sorry for taking so long to get this video out, but it is finally here. I did see your comment. I honestly have no excuse as to why I haven't been getting out this video, but here it is, the long-awaited ball python care guide. I will be coming out with some more ball python content in the near future for all of my subscribers who do enjoy my snake content. I believe I already said her name, but her name is Aphrodite. She's a ball python. She's about 1.5 years old. As you can see, she's very comfortable with me. And she's also a really nice and healthy size. I take really good care of my snake, and as you can see, I love the child so much that I got her tattooed on my arm. Before we jump into the video, please give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe down below because it really helps out my channel. And without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing I have is, where should you get your snake? So personally, I got my snake at PetSmart. So you can get your snake at your local pet store such as PetSmart, Petco, and whatever store really sells snakes. Those are the only ones I know, to be honest, because that's what I have in my area. So you can get your snake at a pet store. You can also get your snakes online from reptile breeders. You can go to reptile expos. You can also go to reptile shops in your area. It may be a little bit difficult to find them in your area if you don't know much about them, but honestly, you can just go ahead and Google it, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna find some reptile expos, reptile shops. Just in case anybody was wondering, my ball python was $50 at PetSmart. I got her when she was about a few months old. I've had her for about a year and a few months now, and she is flourishing and growing. So I do say that PetSmart has good animals. Just make sure you're examining your animal for any signs of infection, such as snake mites, respiratory infections, malnutrition, just certain things that you should be doing research on before you go and purchase a snake. Also, ask as many questions as possible. Ask what the snake's age, sex, how often it feeds, what it's feeding, whether that be frozen thawed, whether that be live. Just ask a bunch of questions before you get your snake. I will say one thing, if you get your snake from the pet store, they're probably not going to be able to answer too many questions, but if you do go to a person who actually breeds snakes, they'll probably be able to answer your questions to their fullest potential. So the next portion of this video is basically going to be everything that you need. Oh my gosh, she is choking the hell out of me. So the next portion of this video is going to be things that you need for your snake's enclosure. I'm going to link down below in the description box everything that I have so you guys can get the links. I know some of you watching this video may find that helpful. I am very cheap, so I went with the cheapest options I could possibly find. So this video will be very cost effective for anybody who may be a little bit younger or doesn't have like a huge budget to buy an animal and also the setup. I do want to mention that I spent about $200 on her initial setup and I spent $50 for her, so $250 total. That is way cheaper than any other animal you're going to get. So the first thing you're going to need is an enclosure or a tank, whatever you want to call it, a terrarium. There's so many different names to call it, but you're going to need something to put your snake inside. I got a 20-gallon tank from my local Walmart. It was the cheapest one I was able to find. It was about $70. That was the cheapest tank I could find. I do recommend checking out like Craigslist, Facebook Market, going to thrift stores. You can get snake enclosures for way cheaper that way, but if you want something new, if you're not able to find it that way, if you want something a little bit more convenient where you don't have to search around, go to your local Walmart because they are going to have the cheapest 20-gallon terrariums, or at least that is what I found in my experience. The next thing you're going to need is substrate. Because I actually have the substrate with me, I'm going to show you guys exactly what I use. So the substrate I use is this Zoo Med Eco Earth. It's just like this brown, like grainy like substrate. This is really good just to coat the entire floor of your terrarium. Only thing about this is it doesn't really hold humidity very well, and with the ball python, you do want your humidity to be around 55 to 65% at all times. This right here is not going to hold humidity, but for a ball python, this is a really standard and really good substrate for them. Because the Eco Earth doesn't hold humidity very well, I do add this Zoo Med Forest Floor in with it as well. This is really good for holding humidity, but this bag is a little bit more expensive, and they also come in smaller bags. So I like to mix it with the Eco Earth because it's a lot cheaper, and this one holds humidity very well. Both of these types of substrates are very safe for ball pythons, so don't be afraid. I've had my snake for over a year. This is what she's been on the entire time. It holds humidity very well, and she is nice and healthy. The next thing you're going to need is 2 hides in the enclosure. This is really crucial for your snake's health. Snakes really do prefer to be in dark, hidden areas. They also prefer to be in smaller areas so they can curl up and ball up and just feel as safe as possible in their enclosure. So you want to make sure you get 2 hides, one for the cold side of the tank and one for the warm side of the tank. Typically, my snake spends most of her time in the warm side of the tank. Honestly, that does not matter. You do want to get hides on both sides of the tank. If your snake wants to thermoregulate, you do want to have a hide on the cold side and on the hot side, preferably. I like to make sure the hides are the exact same so she feels just as comfortable going to that side when she does decide to do it. The next thing you're going to need is a water bowl. Typically, you want to get a water bowl that is just as big as your snake so she can soak in it. Personally, I don't really have space for that in my enclosures. My water bowl is not that big, but it is decently sized. I don't notice her ever trying to soak in the water bowl, so I don't feel like that's completely necessary for ball pythons because they're not the type of snakes that soak anyway like that. So a smaller water bowl, in my opinion, has worked just fine for me. Nonetheless, just make sure you have a water bowl because every living thing on earth needs water and your snake is one of those animals. Also, try to avoid using tap water when you're putting that in your snake's enclosure just because you probably wouldn't put tap water in your body, so treat your snake with the same respect. Typically, I like to use filtered water or bottled water. There's also like liquids that you could add to tap water to neutralize it for your reptiles, but I think it's easiest to just go with bottled water, distilled water, or just filtered water in general. That's the easiest way to go because the water is pretty much purified and all of the nasty chemicals and toxins inside of faucet water are not going to be in those options. The next thing that you're going to need is a hydrometer. What a hydrometer does is tells you the percentage of humidity in your tank. This is really important for ball pythons because they do need a specific humidity to mimic their natural environments. So ball pythons need about 55% to 65% humidity at all times. I do want to mention that this will change during shed. There are so many different signs of shed. If anybody does want me to do a video on the signs of shedding in snakes, I can comment down below if you would like to see that. When you do see your snake giving off signs of shed, you want to bump that up to 75 to 85%. That just helps aid in the shedding process, making it a quick and easy process for them, making them shed off in one piece instead of in little tiny pieces, because if your humidity is off, you could be going through a realm of problems with your snake. Your snake could get sick, it can get respiratory infections, it can develop other poor health conditions, they may not have good shedding, so you want to make sure your humidity is on point at all times. The next thing you're going to want is a heating pad. So you're going to put the heating pad on the hot side of your snake's tank. It doesn't matter which side is your hot side and which side is your cold side, but personally for me, the right side of my tank is the hot side and the left side of my tank is the cold side. And honestly, it's just set up like that because that is where the plug is. You can choose whichever side you want. You just want to make sure there's a hot side and a cold side. So for the warm side of the enclosure, you want to keep that around 88 degrees to 92 degrees Fahrenheit. And the cold side, you want to keep it around 75 degrees to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I also want to add that decorations inside your enclosure is optional. You do not have to add decorations. All you need is 2 hides, some substrate, the hydrometer, and the heating pad, and you're all set. You honestly don't need anything else, but if you want to decorate, by all means decorate. Ball pythons really love clutter. They really love clutter in small spaces because it makes them feel more safe. As you may know, ball python's primary defense mechanism is literally to curl up into a ball when they're scared. So the more hiding places and the more clutter they have in the cage, the better, because it makes them feel a lot more safe. Another thing you're going to need, this is going to be for feeding your snake. Basically, you want to get feeding tongs. Please get feeding tongs. If you try to put your mouse or your rat in there with your hands, you are going to risk getting bit by your snake. That is not going to be a fun time. You don't want that. Make sure you're using feeding tongs because that is really important. You want to be able to dangle the mouse or the rat in front of your snake's face with your feeding tongs to prevent your hands from getting bitten, because snakes do not have the best eyesight. They're not going to distinguish your hands from the mouse, especially when they're ready to eat. So be careful and get yourself some feeding tongs. Also, if anybody is wondering where you can get food at for your snake, which is going to be rodent based, there are many different rodents that you can feed your snake, but I do feed my snake mice and rats. She's currently on small rats and she is feeding on frozen thawed rat. I know there's a controversy on feeding snakes in captivity, frozen thawed or live. Now, I know every snake is different and some people's snakes are not going to want to eat frozen thawed, some are not going to want to eat live. It really is a personal preference, but the safest way to feed your snake is going to be frozen thawed. If you get your snake as a baby baby, try to feed it frozen thawed if you can, just because that's the safest way to go in captivity with your pet snake. If you're feeding your snake live mice, there's always a possibility that your snake can become injured. There's always a possibility that the rat may bite your snake, and that is not something you want, especially in captivity. You want your snake to be as healthy and as safe as possible because that's your baby, okay? That's your pet and that's your animal, and you don't want anything to happen to it. So next I'm going to be talking about cleaning the enclosure. Typically, I like to clean my enclosure once a month. Just do like a deep clean, remove all the substrate, clean everything down with bleach, clean the hides, clean the entire tank, and just clean any piece of little furniture in there with bleach. I do use bleach water to clean. That is the safest and most effective way to clean my snake enclosure. You can go to your local dollar store, pick up some bleach, and use that to clean everything snake related. So something that's really important that I like to have is a little transfer bucket. A little bucket that I can put her hides, her water bowl, her furniture inside, and just bring it to the bathroom, clean it off with hot water and bleach, and then it just makes for easy transport so I don't have to carry things back and forth. So I do like to have a bucket that just transports everything to the bathroom or whatever cleaning area you are going to do it in. It just makes it so much more simple instead of having to like go back and forth. The next thing you're going to need is a mini trash can and mini trash bags. Honestly, you can get these from the grocery store. They're literally free. It's like the little fruit bags that you get from the grocery store. I love those. They're perfect. And I do want to mention that all of my cleaning supplies, and I mean every single cleaning supply I have, is from the dollar store. My spray bottles, my bleach, my containers, my trash can, any little container or trash can I have for my snake has come from the dollar store. So cleaning products for your snake are going to be extremely cheap. So basically the mini trash can is really good for when you're emptying out the substrate and doing your monthly cleanings. It's also really good when you're feeding your snake and you want to dispose of any of the products. The next thing you're going to need is 2 spray bottles. One spray bottle should have water in it and the other spray bottle should have bleach in it. The other spray bottle should be a mixture of bleach and water, and that's going to be what you're cleaning with. The spray bottle with water is basically really good for humidity. If you want to spray your snake's enclosure down, that can raise up the humidity significantly. There's also something else you can do to raise the humidity, which is putting a wet towel on top of the cage. That really helps with humidity for me. And honestly, I feel that I can control the humidity the best when I do the wet towel method. The spray bottle method raises the humidity very fast and very high, and I don't feel like that's the best for your animal unless you know exactly how much you need to be spraying. I haven't got that down. I think that the wet towel method is the best for me. The next thing you're going to need is bleach. Like I said before, you can get this from the dollar store. Get all your cleaning products from the dollar store and you'll be all set. It's going to be cheap. You're going to save your coins and you're going to keep your snake nice, healthy, and clean. The next thing you're going to need is a cup or a mug that you're going to use to thaw out your mice. You want to make sure this cup is only for thawing out mice. Do not make it a cup that you drink out of because that is disgusting, okay? We do not want any mice contamination, any mice juices in anything that we are drinking out of. So go to the dollar store, get you a mason jar, get you a mug, a cup, whatever it may be, so you can thaw out those mice and those rats. We don't want to drink out of that cup, okay? Make sure you're getting... Oh, where's she going? Oh no. You were doing so well, child. I don't know where she's going now, but she was doing so well. She was so calm. Make sure you're getting a separate mug for your mice because you're going to need it. Okay, and the last thing you're going to need is some type of brush or sponge. Okay, ma'am. You're choking me. So the last thing you're going to need is some type of brush or sponge just to do all of your cleaning with. You want to make sure that you're only using this for your snake, like I mentioned before. Like I said, you can also get that from the dollar store. Make sure you're getting all your cleaning products from the dollar store, okay?
Jeez! Jesus Christ.
Hey y'all, popping in while I'm editing. I do want to mention that you should get these little clips for your snake enclosure. Basically what the clips do is they make sure the lid is absolutely secure so your snake cannot get out. A lot of people have a problem with their snake getting loose, especially if you're living in a house or you're living in a place where somebody is scared of your snake or they just do not want your snake to get out, or you just don't want your snake to get out because it will be really hard to find it. Make sure you have clips on your enclosure. I will link down below the exact ones that I use. They are perfect for my snake. She cannot get out of her enclosure and they are perfect for me. I will link those down below. So that was pretty much it for my ball python care guide. I do have one more tip that I actually want to give you guys. Make sure you can find an exotic vet in your area just in case anything happens to your snake happens to get sick. If you just want to get your snake checked out for any reason, make sure you find a good exotic vet in your area. I recently had a scare with Miss Aphrodite and I took her to an exotic vet. I will be uploading a video on our vet experience very soon, so stay tuned for that. But just make sure you find an exotic vet in your area that does take care of snakes, because just in case anything is to happen to your snake, you do want to have a vet nearby. Alright, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. If you're still watching right now, please comment down below a snake emoji, just so you know exactly what I'm talking about. I will insert it right here on the screen. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. You are a real one. If you found this video helpful, also comment down below what you found helpful from it. Before we end this video, please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and also subscribe down below because it really helps out my channel. And without further ado, I'll see you in the next video. Bye. I'm just trying to get you off, ma'am. Please. Oh my gosh. Girl, you was choking me the whole video.